that the Supreme Court has just dealt a major blow to public sector unions. Now, the court's conservative justices said in a 5-4 opinion that the state government workers who choose not to join a union cannot be compelled to pay a fair share of union dues for covering the cost of negotiating contracts. Now, the decision in Janus versus AFSCME struck down the laws in California, New York, and 20 other mostly Democratic-leaning states that actually do care about union representation. Now, at the heart of this ruling was a 41-year-old court decision where the court said that non-union employees, when they were setting up public sector unions, should still have to have some sort of fee because they benefit from union contracts. Now, that makes sense. You don't want free riders, right? You want people with skin in the game to get the benefits of that union contract that, of course, they work hard for. Now, I've worked in union shops. I've worked in non-union shops. And from firsthand experience, I can tell you that the benefits of being in a union shop are actually really, really great. Turns out that I was treated better. I had better wages. I had cheaper health care. And even management treated us better. And for example, I remember me and a partner that I was working with, when we hit production goals, and trust me, we busted our asses for that, we reached production goal, and we ended up getting a pizza party. That was awesome. Now, let me compare that to the non-union shop that I worked in. I actually made less, worked a lot harder, had more expensive insurance, and when you hit a goal, well, you get a hearty pat on the back and now can you do more? So the reason that I bring up my personal experience in that is that to me that union due was actually worth it because I was getting the benefits of that union negotiated contract. Now, unfortunately, now you have people that want to be free riders, freeloaders to that contract and still get the benefits but not actually pay in. And that's actually incredibly unfair. Now, overall, more than just the personal experience, the overall experience here, an impact that's going to happen is that you're going to have unions that are hurt even more because they're going to be more starved for funding. Now, in fact, a recent nonpartisan study predicted that this Supreme Court decision would eventually cause public employee unions to lose over 726,000 members from their ranks. Now, what's the impact? What's the effect of declining union membership? Well, we have some ideas. In fact, there's a historical trend that shows what happens when union membership declines. In fact, I've got a couple of images here to show you. Now, this, of course, shows unions and shared prosperity. Now, it shows the money of the amount of money that went to the top 10% during the height of unions and also during the decline of unions. For example, back in the 20s, it was incredibly low. And look at that. On the other side, here you had the share of top 10% getting a ton of money. Union membership gets high, and yes, that drops a little bit, that share of income going to the top 10%, but is actually still fairly high. And in some parts, you can see it was basically in tandem. And then, as union membership continued to decline, look at that, you have the share of money going to the top 10% exploding. I wonder if there's an impact. Gee, I don't know. Now, there's another chart that I want to show you here, and that is middle class income. So, oh wow, you can see as union membership goes down, so does middle class incomes. Oh, that's really, really strange. Huh. Well, look at that. It's almost as if unions are incredibly beneficial for the middle class. And that without them, money, which would have went to the middle class and in your pocket, ended up going to the top 10%. Weird. That's really strange how that works. It's like if you don't have representation in the workforce, then your boss gets to step all over you and steal the fruits of your productivity. And there's, of course, another chart, productivity versus wages, where productivity is way, way up, where wages stay stagnant. And it all happens about the time that unions declined in strength. Now, of course, conservatives cheered this ruling, including President Trump, who said on Twitter, Supreme Court rules in favor of non-union workers who are now, as an example, able to support a candidate of his or her choice without having those who control the union deciding for them. Big loss for the coffers of the Democrats. It's not just a loss for the Democrats, by the way. It's actually a loss for regular workers. See, here's the thing. He's actually wrong. Oh, well, I was surprised. Donald Trump's wrong about something. First of all, a union member could go and support any candidate that they want on their own. Because that money that was paid in union dues actually ends up going to negotiating contracts. And again, that 41-year-old ruling had them separate. If you didn't want your money to go to political activism on behalf of the union, you could say, I'm not interested in doing that, but you still had to pay something because you benefit from the contracts. And this decision, this Janus decision, overrules that, overturns that. It says you don't have to pay anything at all. Disastrous. But look, here's the thing. If you really wanted to solve that problem of union money going to the Democrats, which I actually do, I don't believe that there should be union money in politics. I don't believe that there should be corporate money in politics. I think that there should be no money in politics, and everything should be publicly funded so that every candidate gets the same amount of money. And guess what? When that happens, politicians can actually run on their ideas. I know that's a crazy concept, but I believe in that. And so maybe you should have been in favor of getting money out of politics. But of course, the conservative Supreme Court actually wanted to get more money into politics. And Donald Trump, I remember Donald Trump on the campaign trail saying, oh, money in politics. It's the worst. You could buy people and they do whatever the hell you want. Well, now Trump doesn't give a goddamn shit. Why? Because he never did. Now, here's the thing, right? Look, I don't want union money. I don't want corporate money. Which, by the way, corporate money, as I just mentioned, is still there and absolutely has dwarfed union spending by orders of magnitude. So it's not even it wasn't even an even playing field between union money and corporate money in elections. So don't mistake that as something being on par, because they absolutely were not. I mean, for example, even one Koch brother, right, is worth about 515,000 union workers when it comes to political spending. And the Koch brothers, nobody says anything about the right on the Koch brothers. No, they support what the Koch brothers are doing and how much money that they're spending. Whereas honest, principled progressives, they'll look at people like I said, just the Koch brothers and their spending, but they'll also look like people like George Soros and be like, I actually don't want your money in politics either. I don't want any of your money. I don't want Haim Saban's money in politics. I don't want any other conservative donor or liberal donor. I don't want any donors in politics. I don't want any money in politics. I want to get it all gone. So we have to get it. We have to eliminate it. Now, here's the thing, right? They used this ruling. They actually used the First Amendment for this ruling, which is hilarious and also really sad, because what this is based on is the idea that money is speech, right? Now, states and public sector unions, they said, may no longer be able to extract agency fees from non-consenting employees. Now, and they're saying, look, the employees can consent for their speech, i.e. money, to be used for political causes, so that's why we're overturning this rule. But here's the thing, those employees still benefit. It's not about free speech, it's about workers' rights. They should have to pay something, because if they don't, then they're freeloaders. Now, conservatives, of course, they don't like that. They hate contributing to the greater good. Even if they themselves reap the benefits, they would rather keep the benefits for themselves and screw everyone else over. It's all about being greedy and fucking your fellow American over. That is the conservative ideology. Fuck you, I got mine. And I think it's obvious in a lot of the policies that we've seen coming from the right. But look, this is disastrous for the American worker, this decision. We've already faced stagnant wages and loss of benefits as the top continues to get even more money. Now that leads me to Justice Elena Kagan, who wrote in her dissent, quote, "There is no sugarcoating today's opinion. The majority overthrows a decision entrenched in this nation's law and its economic life for over 40 years. As a result, it prevents the American people, acting through their state and local officials, from making important choices about workplace governance. And it does so by weaponizing the First Amendment in a way that unleashes judges now and in the future to intervene in economic and regulatory policy." Weaponizing the First Amendment. That is absolutely what they're doing. And again, oh, no, money is speech. No, money is not speech. You're not talking to a politician when you bribe them. You're bribing them. And that goes for unions and corporations as well. They both bribe politicians. Now, in the union's case, it's to get better union representation. So it at least somewhat helps the workers, unlike what a lot of corporate spending does. But look, again, the whole idea that money is speech is absolutely ridiculous. What we need to do is, and this is not going to happen for a very, very long time. I'm betting that right now. That is unless we can get a constitutional amendment in order to get money out of politics, because that's what we have to do. We have to end the idea that money is speech and that corporations are people with speech rights, and that would dismantle, essentially, reverse this position. Now, as far as negotiating contracts, as I said before, they should be able to negotiate contracts, and people need to have skin in the game. There's a cost, and there are tangible benefits. Even if you don't pay, you end up getting those, and that's why this is so incredibly unfair. But the whole point of this ruling was to hurt unions, to help corporations steal more of our labor, put it into their pockets, instead of ours, where it actually belongs, because we're the ones who actually did the work. What we need to do is we need a resurgence of labor in this country. Workers need to fight back. We need to assert our rights to fair representation in the workplace. If not, we just might be forced to take over the workplace and run it for the benefit of all workers. Now, if that sounds scary, it should. Because we're tired of getting stepped on by corporate America. We're tired of getting stepped on by the courts. We're tired of getting stepped on by politicians who don't represent us. And I think it's about time that we do something about it. Hey everybody, thanks for watching this video. If you want to see more like this, please hit the subscribe button below. And if you want to support truly independent progressive media, please consider becoming a patron at patreon.com/TYTNation.